What's up, y'all? Robin Lundberg back with you today. Robin Lundberg Show here on the YouTube machine and other platforms. Hope everyone's having a good one out there. I got some stuff I want to get feedback on from the audience a little later in the show. So if you don't mind giving me your opinions on some of that, I would appreciate it. Might hit some other topics today as well. But I wanted to start where we've been starting, and that's Caitlin Clark and the WNBA women's basketball. And big news for Clark today, again, she gets this endorsement deal with Wilson, the first since Michael Jordan to get a signature basketball collection with Wilson. And I've said it before, I think, in some ways, Caitlin Clark is the Michael Jordan of women's sports and women's basketball, this generational figure that's changing things, and, the sport will never be the same. But some people really don't seem to like it that she gets the attention, really don't seem to like it. And like every time I post a video about something like that, and look, again, internet commenters are not indicative of fans at large. That's just generally not the case, right? Not indicative of fans at large. But nonetheless, every time it's like turnover queen, or look, this target was putting on her back and now she's not living up to it, as if they don't realize she's actually playing well in the WNBA. It's not like Clark is failing in the WNBA. She's playing quite well, in fact, and soon will live up to all the hype and exceed all the hype. But, Angel Reese put out a post. I have a separate video on this coming later, but just quickly want to show you what she posted on X as well, saying essentially give every team the same publicity because it ain't just one team. And, I agree with some of the sentiment there. I do believe that's a nuanced conversation where all the attention can't be on Caitlin Clark, all of it. If you want the sport to grow, other women need to be featured. It needs to evolve in that regard. So it can't just be all Caitlin Clark all the time. But at the same time, it's not a nefarious plot. It's not a nefarious plot for the league to get on Caitlin Clark and for the media to boost Caitlin Clark. This has happened organically. It was the attention around her. I mean, I saw even Jamel Hill had said that Clark is getting this attention because she's white and straight. I've heard the white point plenty of times before. The straight part of it, I don't know. I've never thought of Caitlin Clark as a sex symbol in that regard. Here's, the comments from Jamel Hill. I apologize for posting Outkick. It was just the first thing I said. I'm not trying to start a fight. But she said we would all be very naive if we didn't say race and her sexuality played a role in her popularity. I mean, is Sabrina Ionescu not a white, straight woman? Is that not the case with Sabrina? Because I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty sure, didn't she get married? I don't think Sabrina, Ionescu is not a straight white woman. Unless I'm, yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to understand why people get angry or mad about it, and what the issue is in that regard. Because I want to see the growth of the women's game. I'm covering it now. And I want to shine light on the other women. And I think this rookie class is fantastic as a whole. Fantastic. Cameron Brink, fantastic. Angel Reese, fantastic. Camila Cardoso, when she gets in here, fantastic. It just boggles my mind that someone would bring all this attention and people would be so angry about it. Because I have to be honest, I don't think a lot of the people who are so mad about it were watching the WNBA or following the WNBA before. I really don't. Like, I saw a bunch of posts about the Wilson basketball deal saying Asia Wilson was right there. Wilson, right there. But I didn't see these people campaigning for Asia Wilson prior to this. I mean, all these things are good. By the way, there was really good ratings news. I think the best news the other night, or Saturday, I'm sorry, is that people stuck around for the Sparks Aces game on Saturday afternoon after the Fever game with the Liberty. They stuck around to watch, which is good. It means people are focusing on other things as well. And not just Caitlin Clark. That's how it's going to grow. And I'm not like, this should not turn into a race thing, war or anything either, because that's also overstated. Comment, like I've said it a billion times. I guarantee you there are so many black people who support and like Caitlin Clark. I guarantee you. You know, white people are not a monolith. Black people are not a monolith. Other people are not a monolith. You know, just like there are plenty of white people who don't have a problem with Angel Reese. Like that is all stirred up ish, right? And again, you have loud people on social media. Because I really do think Clark has a chance to be the face of basketball going forward. Not just the WNBA, but the face of basketball. I don't know. It's just a little strange to me, the vitriol that seems to come out about it, when this is good for everybody. This is good for everybody. And so many of these women are getting more attention than they had gotten previously or, you know, at other times. By the way, show announcement, tomorrow night, no live show. You know, we'll figure out the schedule for that going forward, how it works best. Obviously, we've had some good ones around the Fever games. I will do a video after the Fever game tomorrow. Maybe I'll populate some other videos in between, you know, with some of the wrestling and the rap stuff. I have a question to ask you guys about that a little bit later as well. But I just was curious what people thought, because it seems, it's just strange. The backlash, it's a little strange. Let me get to some of you guys in the chat right now. By the way, the WNBA did better ratings than Major League Baseball last weekend. It also almost beat Game 7 in the NHL. But I just don't understand. What are people mad about? Is it just because, like, anytime somebody gets talked about too much, there's a negative reaction? Because I've seen that over the years. LeBron is an example. You know, Tebow Mania is an example, obviously. People get fed up of hearing the same thing. But in this, it just feels a little strange, because for the most part, a lot of the loudest voices on this, I never heard saying anything about the WNBA before or women's basketball before. It just so happened once Clark got all this attention and all this hype, all of a sudden there's a problem. Ernesto says, Robin, I'm here. Just picked up my daughter coming back from college. Got it for the summer. Oh, it's going to be great when you get to experience that part, man. It's one of the best feelings. I picked up my son from the bus today, and you know what his first words were off the bus? I hate Gunther. For those of you who don't know, Gunther beat Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw last night. My son is a big Jey Uso fan. I think Jey Uso could be the biggest babyface in WWE right now, potentially. Kevin Zwicker, my man Kevin Zwicker, WWR member with a super chat, plugging the WWR. WWR, that's the membership group for the channel. If you want to subscribe, we'll give you some special perks and all that. Obviously, you'll get your comments read first. WWR being the playoff of women's basketball, the wrestling, and the rap. And obviously, my name being Robin, for those of you who are new to the channel. Pete P says, it's because she is white, period. You know, it is interesting that the accusations of her being overhyped are because she's white, and then perhaps the backlash as a result could be because she's white. I don't think it's period. I don't think anything's ever period, because again, I've seen it before with just media coverage, like an overexposure. People do not like overexposure. But at the same time, when you talk about the attention that has been drawn by Caitlin Clark and focused on Caitlin Clark, you have to realize that like it's not like a figment of people's imagination. It's not a media plot to rally around the Iowa white girl. Is she more popular because she's an Iowa white girl? Certainly possible. Maybe likely, right? Like I've used the Eminem example before, where I think it was harder for Eminem to break in as a rapper because he was white. But once he broke in, it was easier for him to reach higher heights because he was white, and you would get people that didn't listen to rap to listen to Eminem, right? Like that would happen. They're like, because they related to him or whatever, the style of music. So do I think like being white helped Eminem's popularity? Yes, I think it helped Eminem's popularity. But Eminem would not have ever become popular if he wasn't nice on the mic. And Caitlin Clark would have never become popular if she wasn't a great basketball player. And again, Sabrina Ionescu, straight, white, really good basketball player. She hasn't been shoved in everybody's faces to the same degree, right? So you would think this is a can't miss opportunity. So the resentment is a little strange. So when Angel Reese says, all the focus shouldn't be on one team. Again, I agree that they should promote the other teams and they should promote the other stars. Like we are in lockstep there. I agree. I agree with Angel. But to act like Clark isn't promoted differently than everybody else for no reason is silly. It's just not, it flies in the face of logic and rationale. Vadim says the hate is insane, but as you've stated, Robin, some of her fans are a bit fanatic as well. That could play into it too. That's a good point. It's a good point. Some people might not like the fans of Caitlin Clark. They might not like the fans of Caitlin Clark. And they have they're rooting against her so that they can throw it in the fans' face. Because the fans, some of them do behave in a little bit of a cultish-like manner. If I'm being real, if I'm being frank. And I've seen it. Like I've been about as positive as can be about Caitlin Clark. I think any rational person who's in here would agree with that. Yet I still have, like if I say something slightly critical or I acknowledge, another aspect of things, like attack me. Like Clark needs to get better at defense, by the way. That's a thing. She needs to become a better defensive player. It's okay to say that. Vadim also said, I'm seeing a little turn after yesterday's game with more positive support for Caitlin's WNBA game through 4. I think we're going to get there. The Fever just need to pick up a couple wins. And they, if you look at her numbers relative to everybody else, she's doing really well. She's doing really well. She's actually tracking like a, an all-time great start. Jerma Loving says, Clark has the new deal with Wilson's company that makes the league's basketball, and she has a say in the making. Yeah, I opened the show with that, Jerma. Thank you. I think that's great, right? Like, you have a women's basketball player compared with Michael Jordan. Freaking awesome. She just happens to be white. Michael Jordan got to that level without being white. People still worship at the altar of Michael Jordan. So it's certainly not impossible for a black athlete to reach those heights. And it's just more of a rarity, I think, for a white athlete in this sport. It's different than a quarterback in the NFL, where we've seen so many white quarterbacks excel at the NFL level. In basketball, it's been a predominantly black sport throughout its history in America. but everybody can play it. And the great thing about basketball is, you know, it's a meritocracy. Whoever's the best is the best. That's what it is. James says a lot of people resent Caitlyn and the media exposure she gets because they think she is a so-called great white hope hype. Yeah, like I've seen that plenty. I agree. You know, and again, I'm not saying race is no factor. I'm not saying that race plays no role whatsoever in this, because that would be naive too. I just don't think it's the driving, determining factor behind what's going on. I don't think it's the driving, determining factor. And I also, you have to realize the coverage is in line with the demand, supply and demand. People want to see her and watch her. The WNBA's already had 3 or 4 games top 1 million viewers when it hasn't in however many years. That is Clark. The draft was Clark. The college national championship was Clark. It's not imaginary. It's not imaginary. He says they'll never get over Eminem becoming the GOAT. Jay-Z is the GOAT. Jay-Z is the GOAT. Sorry. I saw a Blueprint topped Illmatic on the Apple list. By the way, there's going to be some Nas fans mad about that. Jay-Z, but to me, the 3 greatest rappers of all time, after what Kendrick Lamar just pulled off, are Jay-Z, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar. 3 greatest rappers of all time. But Hov is the GOAT for me. Kendrick just did some GOAT-ish, though, recently. I got to admit that. William H. Film says, man, I'm a 43-year-old black man from the ghetto in the hood and know she is the deadliest shooter we've ever seen. Not to mention passer. Right? Like, and William H. is a great example of this because it's not fair to, you know, the black audience to act like it's black people against Caitlin Clark. That is bull. That's not true. That's not true. Don't stir yourself up like that. Don't rile yourself up like that. It is not black people against Caitlin Clark. There may be some black people who are being loud about it. There's also white people who don't like the hype and are being loud about it. There's also, you know, people who don't like women's sports and like to crap on women's sports who are being loud about it. But Caitlin Clark would not reach this level of popularity if the interest wasn't there from a broad audience, black, white, and in between. Vadim says, help Robin out and hit that like button. Yes, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give me some cough medicine. I got some questions for you guys a little later in the show, too, about some possible fun stuff we can do as a group and a community. So I'm going to get to that. I'm trying to weave in the other topics today as well. William H. Hit the like button. Thank you. Theo B says, yo, what up, Robin? What up, Theo B? Have you been in here before? If not, welcome. Welcome. Kevin Zwicker with another super chat. Who the best? Pac, Obbs, and Big? Obbs. Aubrey. Poor Aubrey. Let's argue all day about who's the best MC, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas. No, I mean, to me, it's Jay-Z, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar. DS Sahande, Sai Sahande, another WWR member, says no Biggie. Biggie doesn't have a big enough catalog for me. I mean, I know why, but that holds him back. You know, that holds him back because you need more of a catalog, in my opinion. He also adds, by the way, let me know if you're not a he. Would you want Trae Young on the Nets? Would I want Trae Young on the Nets in a vacuum? Yes. I'm a Nets fan, by the way. In a vacuum, yes. But I don't know what I would trade for Trae Young. Like, I'm kind of on the side of the Nets should just wait it out because they have their own draft pick next year and they have $1 billion in cap space, like once Ben Simmons is off the books. So they could really, really build organically for sustained success. Now, if they can acquire Donovan Mitchell, that's great. But what do you have to give up? I don't want to trade the whole team, in that regard. But that's I told you, DS, I would read your comments on the other topics as well, because I do have some questions about the other topics and the direction of things going forward, how we expand as we go along, because obviously this show is building. You can see in the rate of the chats here today, all those things. Gaetano Albani says, nice to see that the Caitlin Clark cult is alive and well tonight. Who's being cultish in here tonight? I haven't seen that in here, to be honest with you. I think everybody in here tonight has been rational. I didn't see anything. John Whitman, don't like her overexposure. Look on the buttons on your remote. There's one that changes the channel, another that turns the TV off. Yeah, I mean, but that is something that's happened before. And Black Boy 559 makes a good point. Deion Sanders got backlash as well in the team. Like Deion, who, by the way, is not white. Deion Sanders got a lot of attention as coach of Colorado. A lot of it. For a team that wasn't that good in the grand scheme of things. Now, I understand where they were coming from, but they weren't that good. And Deion Sanders got a lot of attention, not because he was white, but there was also backlash toward that attention he got. So these things work on both sides, black, white, whatever. That backlash to the overexposure. But it's also a good thing to note, and I didn't think of it, that Deion got blown. I mean, we all knew who Deion was before. That, I'm sure that factored in. But Deion didn't get all that hype because he was white. Kevin Zwicker, the whole WNBA should pray Clark is who we think she is. More money for everyone. Yes, exactly. Hit the likes, people. Subscribe, like, comment. James says, longtime fans of basketball in the WNBA resent and make fun of Caitlin's fans. They pretend that they're all naive new fans or casual viewers who thought that she would be dominant immediately. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some of that. There's some of it. And there has been some, like, I've had people curse out Diana Taurasi and say, like, who the hell is she? When she was arguably and is arguably the GOAT before this. So I don't want to act like there haven't been some Caitlin Clark fans who act brand new. But just like everything else, you can't paint all Caitlin Clark fans with a broad brush. And I'm assuming a lot of you in here are Caitlin Clark fans, and most of you have been very rational and collected with your thoughts. Alberto Garcia says Jamel Hill equals race bait. Look, I like Jamel. I've worked with her in the past. I just, I think sometimes there's a rush to make it only about race. And while it could be a factor, I think nuance is required for real conversations like this. You have to be able to look at and unpeel the layers and talk about it from an intellectually honest point of view. And I would be naive to say race plays no part whatsoever. But I don't think it's the driving force. I think what she did on the basketball court was the driving force. And again, Sabrina Ionescu, what Jamel said, Sabrina should be this huge star. See, this guy says if CC fails, it's not because of the haters. It'll be because of the cult-like reverence of her cult-like fans. I don't think that will have anything to do with whether she fails or not. I don't think the haters or the lovers will have anything to do with whether she fails. It'll have something to do with the online discourse and maybe, the people who are rushing to crap on her or get on, Aaliyah Boston when that's uncalled for, because Aaliyah Boston missed a shot last night doesn't mean people need to attack her, is what I'm saying. That's all. Goodness Rated Bo says, what do you mean by backlash? I mean, people acting like this attention is made up or wanting to revel in her failure and all those things. And again, it's not most people. I mean, look, it's me. I'm probably guilty of participating in this right now, right? Like, because I'm benefiting off of it. I put backlash in the title, probably ups the number of comments. It's part of the media game. But I've seen it out there too. It's not like I'm making it up. I just hope you guys understand where I'm coming from and realize that I'm honest about these things. Sean Davis, WWR member, can't wait to see what we get tomorrow. I love the fact that this version of the Wyatt-like faction is using every social media platform that they can. Yeah, I like the teases from the Wyatt family and everything that's been going on. Sean has come over from Denise Salcedo's channel. Check me out, SmackDown Reaction Show, every Friday night on Denise's channel. I posted a short about Jey Uso earlier today that's doing really well. Check that out as well. Sean, I was telling people, I don't know if you were in here in the chat before, but when my son came off the bus today, he said, I hate Gunther. Those were his first words. He's mad that Jey Uso lost. And Jey Uso is another example of the internet not being real life, right? Because so many fans are behind Jey Uso, but it feels like internet wrestling fans are hating on Jey Uso all the time. It's an interesting, switch up. Steve Hewitt says, Lundberg! Steve Hewitt was in the Facebook group chat earlier today. So let me broach this topic real quick before we get back into the other topic, since this is a good segue. I'm going to be running a fantasy football league, a Beat Robin fantasy football league. I've got a partnership deal coming, and I'll announce all that soon. It's not a big thing. But it is through, a company that does fantasy football and has an affiliation with a huge hotel out in Vegas. So I just wanted to know how many people would want to join that fantasy football league. There would be 11 spots. You could join the program regardless. I'll put the links out once all that's ready, and you can join whatever league you want to over there. But if you want to join the league against me, it's not like a show thing. It's not going to be something, we'll mention it and talk about in the show. It's just for fun. But there will be a entry fee. And I want to know what people's price points they're comfortable with, because I don't want to price out the fans either. So just mentioning that, want to gauge the interest in joining a fantasy football league with me. Let me know. But Steve had said up to a certain price, he was interested. So please hit me up in the chat about that, on the side about that. I don't think we'll have a problem getting 11 people, but I don't also want to price out people who would be interested in participating, because look, I'll get a commission off of this. Full disclosure, that's part of the reason for these partnerships. So the higher the price point, the better for me. But at the same time, I'd much rather take less in order to get more of my real fans involved who really want to be involved. On top of that, we may run some wrestling contests through the same company. If you guys would be interested in that, that would go around the PLEs. I'm still working out the format of that and how those would work. But, you would get a budget and participate in a contest with a prize on the line around the wrestling PLEs. And when it comes to the wrestling and rap coverage on this channel, obviously I do a lot of shorts on those that do well, and Kevin and I have done some videos. I sought the advice of perhaps one of the most famous YouTubers in the world. I don't want to blow up his spot about strategies going forward with this, but I do foresee maybe a day where I break that off into a separate channel, the rap and wrestling, if that's something people would be interested in. And because this has been so driven by women's basketball and Caitlin Clark and the like, and make that the home for this, the home for that, and that the home for that. But I'm waiting till I build this up a little bit more. And I hope you guys check out all the content on here, or whatever check out what you like. But let me know what you think of that idea going forward, of the fantasy football league, of a wrestling contest, and the best way to position the other content, because this women's basketball thing happened again organically, where that's what the audience, a lot of new audience members came for that. So I got to keep serving that up, and I've got a new thing in the works in regards to that as well. But I want to keep those passions of mine going. So I'm keeping them going on this channel, but eventually maybe it works as a spin-off channel as well. Will Kevin Durant be in your fantasy football league? Oh, I forget. Is that's right behind me? Right? That's a tweet exchange with Kevin Durant. Ernesto says, "I will tribute." I think he means contribute. The dirty goatee says, "Every press is good press." They know Caitlin is the GOAT. Maria Kumako. Caitlin is very good. She is a good player. True. That is true. I agree. DS, WWR member. Would you be okay trading Bridges to the Knicks? That's never happening. Look, I mean, for the right package, there's things that make more sense for a team than other things, right? So I would never I wouldn't want to say no to anything just off rip, but come on, Mikal Bridges is not getting traded to the Knicks. It just seems silly. The concept as a whole just seems silly. Going back through some of these comments. Mick Longfellow, jealousy knows no bounds with the haters. Keep it up. It's making her more famous. Selling out arenas, sponsorship deals. She is the WNBA. As soon as you people realize that, the better. Well, look, again, this is part of that point too. It needs to grow. It needs to grow. And as far as that happening, that needs to mean attention should be paid to the other teams and players. Like, that is something that needs to happen. At the same time, the reason this discussion is happening in the first place is because of Caitlin Clark. Sean Davis says, I think it's a good idea since your shorts are different content. Might be better to have the wrestling stuff in its own place and use this just for WNBA. What do you guys think of that? It's definitely something I've been contemplating, is breaking out a separate channel for, I think it would be a rap and wrestling channel, to be honest with you. Those have a synergy. I got to get West Side Gun on one of those as an interview or something. I'm keeping this, I want to build this up and keeping it going for now. But if so many people have come over to this channel for the WNBA, but I also have that core following on the other things, it's certainly something I've been thinking about. And I know the audiences aren't exactly the same. Theo B says, been in here before, Robin. Lurkin, LOL. Well, welcome. Welcome. And a super chat. Thank you. Been following you for a minute. Glad to see you on YouTube. Just wanted to show my support, man. I really do appreciate that. It's nice to see these chats coming from other people and new. I don't know where you've been following me from necessarily. Maybe you've called me on the radio. Maybe you follow me at SI. Wherever you followed me from, I certainly appreciate it. And yeah, this YouTube thing has been working for me. I got advice. I told this story on the origin episode of this show where I was told when I was laid off by ESPN in 2017 by legendary voiceover guy Jim Cutler that YouTube would be a good outlet for me because, he says I have an edge, whatever, and people would gravitate toward it if I was consistent posting on YouTube. But I got a job so fast that I never focused on it. This last employment fiasco, I focused on it, and all of a sudden, this YouTube channel is really growing to the point where I'm talking about expanding it or, branching off and launching a separate channel for my other interests because some of this has worked so well. He says he called a few times. I think we chatted about the Gordon versus Levine contest. You went live right after. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, goodness rated Bo. The jealousy toward Caitlin Clark is a little strange. A little strange. But I also appreciate, any feedback from anybody. I'm trying to go back and find Doug the Developer's comment because he's a longtime listener and longtime follower. Oh, two comment. Paris Johnson. I don't know if I've seen a comment from Paris Johnson before. I never paid the W attention until AR and CC, but if it's going to be about race, sex, and gender, I'm done. Basketball supposed to be entertaining, not drama. Yeah, I mean, look, the drama always helps sell and clicks and comments, but I'm going to give you a real basketball analysis on here as well. Doug, the developer, says this applies to entertainment too. When Black Panther came out, there were a certain group of people who despised the film and called it overrated. Agendas all around. Yeah, I mean, Black Panther was such a cool moment to, and like, look, that's another thing. Like, I hope I don't want to say anything out of turn here because again, I don't want to paint anybody with a broad brushstroke, but Black people support, their own too. Like, Tyler Perry movies, have been successful over time. Black Panther was a phenomenon and experience, but it was loved by everybody too. Part of that Marvel Cinematic Universe. And again, Black people are not against Caitlin Clark. I promise you that. I promise you that. It's not Black people. It is some people. Some of them happen to be Black, but it is not Black people against Caitlin Clark. The Pope B. Frank says Black people love CC, only hurt people hurt people. Isn't that what they said about Will Smith? That slap. How long ago was that now? Because he's got a Bad Boys movie coming out. I think it might be the career renaissance that he's been looking for. Theo B. Wish we could dismiss this stuff away, man, and just enjoy the sport. Personally, I can't wait till Juju get in the league and start cooking. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. You're going to get more stars off of this. You will get more stars off of this. Oh, I didn't know. Goodness Rated Below says I'm Black and I love her. CC is amazing. Watching greatness is amazing. I don't know why I didn't peg Goodness Rated, but yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? I mean, I've been around all sorts of people my whole life, and you just got to treat everybody with respect and realize, like, people try to maybe it's social media and the internet that makes it worse because they make it think like it's like some sort of, this is not a race war. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Stupidest thing. It's, some loud, the vocal minority. By the way, Sean, I do appreciate the suggestion, but I still haven't gotten your headshot. I want to put that up. I'm going to put that up. But I'm taking into account, I'm seriously thinking about launching a separate channel for the wrestling and rap stuff in combo. Right now, it's playlisted on this channel, by the way. I grouped it into a playlist earlier today. So you can go see all the wrestling and rap content in one place if you're into that. And obviously, the women's basketball content in one place if you're into that, if you want to cycle through. But I know so many people came over here because of women's basketball and the WNBA. So I'm learning as I go. I'm also still growing. Like I consulted with a major YouTuber who said build up a little bit more first. But I got to make those decisions on my own too. So I do consult you guys for these things. That is important. And yes, the Pope B. Frank, you have ignorance in every race, though, 100%. AJ Schreiber, super chat. Love the show, Robin. Thanks for providing great content. Love the exclusive WWR videos. So all of the by the way, for WWR members, the videos are going up early for you. That's one of the small perks. I realize that's not like, earth shattering, but it's something that I'm trying to offer. I'm trying to offer and incentivize people for joining and participating in that regard. And you guys are a part of my community, right? Like, so again, if you want to be part of the Fantasy Football League, let me know. If you like the idea of the Rap and Wrestling or Wrestling, whichever, being their own separate channels. Let me know how you feel about that. Because I have to build those from scratch once that happens. This channel has been built up a little bit now, but I was thinking of building it to an even higher level and then expanding. But if people think it's a good idea to go now, I will take your opinions into account for sure. I saw this. Cardosa is eyeing her debut on June 1st versus the Fever. That's a Saturday. We'll have to live stream that one, I think. That one's worth live streaming. That is pretty, that's going to be an enticing matchup. Steve King says, I think the pro players feel slighted because they put in effort, did great things, and now feel like all they've done is futile. I get it. Like, why didn't we get this attention at a point, right? Like, why didn't we get the love? We put in all this work. But at the same time, everybody's going to benefit from this. Everybody's going to benefit from this. Oh, the wrestling contest banner is still up there. So it's hard because I have my core fans who came here and know what I'm about and follow me from the beginning. And then I have my emerging core fans who follow me for a different topic. As this Caitlin Clark thing is fascinating, and the WNBA thing is fascinating, and I've found myself diving headfirst into it, and I've gotten so many new fans and followers as a result of that. So it's like a balancing act. Do I one-stop shop it for both audiences, or do I super serve one audience and then super serve the other audience, if that makes sense? AJ Schreiber said, did they ever release the TV ratings from Saturday? Yes. I showed those earlier, but I'll pull them up again. We also got the ratings from last night. So on Saturday, it was 1.7 million for Fever and Liberty. And I think that was beat every WNBA game other than her debut in the last 22 years. But what was most impressive to me about that, or most encouraging, was it was also 1.3 million for the Aces and the Sparks afterwards, which means people stuck around. And then the ratings for last night were about the same. Almost beat Game 7 in the NHL. And the peak was higher. So I think it was the most watched WNBA game ever on ESPN last night. So down off the debut slightly, but still way, way higher than the past. And the WNBA has, I think, 4 games that have topped 1 million viewers this year after not topping 1 million for however long. So all those things are interesting factors as we go along. Again, guys, no live show tomorrow. I will do a video afterwards for whatever happens in tomorrow night's game, because I think it's a late game. I play basketball on Wednesday. I have a function at my kid's school tomorrow night. I'm going to be there for. Your Pete P says they didn't stick around for the Aces game. Yes, they did. You're not as much the first night, the debut night, but on Saturday they did. This past Saturday on ABC. There was still 1.3 million viewers, I believe, that stuck around for that game. So that was cool. That was cool. All right, guys. That's what I had planned for tonight's show. We've done some marathon shows here. Any other comments? Get them in. I will read them. Any suggestions for the channel? What I broached here today? Please let me know what you think. What would give you the best viewing experience? Whether you're here for the Caitlin Clark and WNBA stuff and you want that to be the sole focus of this channel, whether you like the fact that some of the stuff that I was known for and passionate about. Otherwise, the wrestling and rap stuff is also on this channel, or whether you'd want a separate channel for that if you're a fan of that. Not to mention the fantasy football league as well. Yes, Steve, CC is getting a Wilson deal. The first athlete since Michael Jordan to get a signature basketball deal from Wilson. So that is indeed happening. Theo B says, catch you on the next one. Appreciate you lurking and then showing up in the comments today, Theo. Appreciate that. Vadim says, thanks, Robin. See you next time. It's so cool to see so many people in here, so many new people in here, so many returning people in here. It's always a pleasure. I really do not take it for granted. So please like, subscribe, give me your feedback on what I've said. Facebook group, you can join that if you want to talk about behind the scenes stuff regarding the show. The memberships, obviously, WWR memberships, we're going to figure out perks around that. We should have some contests coming up to help up the experience from the community. But, this is all new to me too over here. And then I'm seeing, seeing this in real time and the growth in real time. So I appreciate you guys. Love, for real. And until next time, balloons. What does that do? Is it the camera that does that? I guess it is. Yeet.